All right, we have our coffee today. Ooh, in our special duck mug. Thank you to my grandpa for passing it along to me. We've got beautiful clouds around us today, but it is not raining, which it has been for quite some time, so I'll take this as a win. Although I'm definitely beginning into a lot of puddle jumping. So for those of you where it's currently raining, I highly encourage you to go puddle jumping. It's a hoot. I think we are ready to do this.
Hi, everyone. You're tuning in to the Perfectly Powerfully You podcast, a space of epic positivity, radical self expression, and transformational growth. Join me in celebrating this beautiful thing we call life with even greater ease, flow, and authenticity.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Perfectly Powerfully You podcast. I'm your host, Nikita, and I trust, hope, and expect you all are having a super duper delightful, wonderful, and magnanimous day today. Today's podcast is brought to you by motivation and inspiration. Lately, I have been very inspired by my younger sister, Alina. Alina, if you're listening to this, thank you so much for being exactly who you are because you're awesome. She has been endeavoring to do fitness competitions, which up until now hasn't been a part of her repertoire. Although, if you know her, you know that she is someone who is absolutely dedicated to health, wellness, and fitness in general, and has been lifting so heavy and getting swole for the majority of her beautiful life thus far. And I've always been inspired by her, and it's also why I started going to the gym myself. So again, thank you, Alina, for being exactly who you are. And lately, I've just been noticing her blossom and blossom and blossom just over these past several months. And it got me thinking about just from someone who is observing her and her beautiful life, I've noticed not only a shift in her mental well-being, her physical well-being, her social well-being, and her financial and freedom well-being. And so it just got me thinking about what motivates and inspires people. How do you keep going when things get difficult? Because they do. And what keeps a spark alive when you want to keep doing the things that you would love to do, and when maybe there are some obstacles that get in our way. Now, for you guys, I would love for you to pay attention to maybe these nudges, these longings, this feeling of expansion in your body where you're feeling either motivated to do something and you've come up against a wall, or maybe you want to feel inspired by something, but you don't know where to start. And so this podcast is dedicated to you guys, where you're endeavoring to live the life that you would absolutely love living by your conscious co-creation. And even though many of us, and I know for myself, there are times when I rely on motivation and inspiration to spur me in the direction of where I would love to head, especially when it's something that feels new. And there are often things in my life where I've gotten to the success in my life where I have been because I wasn't always motivated and inspired to do it, but I kept doing it anyway. So there are going to be some anecdotal tips and tricks and some things that are from my own research. And so this is going to be both biased and unbiased with what has worked for me and also what research says has worked for the majority of people, at least in the studies that have been conducted. So if that sounds good to you, then keep on listening. Now, before we get into it, my dear friend Lori, if you're listening to this, welcome. I love you. Thank you for being exactly who you are. Um, just happened to send me this beautiful quote that ties perfectly into the this podcast. So I trust divine intervention and synchronicities to help bolster this podcast for all of you listeners. But it is from the book The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest or Weist. I hope that I am saying this correctly. But the quote that she sent me for her morning wisdom is stop accepting your own excuses. Stop being complacent with your own justifications. Start quantifying your days by how many healthy, positive things you've accomplished, and you will see how quickly you begin to make progress. Now, I was absolutely inspired by this, and it helped me just kind of get into the motion of how I want this podcast to unfold for you guys. And so, for those of you who maybe are waiting on motivation and inspiration to get you started, this is going to be, I think, really enlightening for how you can continue to move in the direction of where you would love to be, whether it's greater health, greater time and money freedom, a loving relationship, a passionate and authentic place to give your gifts and talents. This is a podcast for you. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the podcast and all the juicy details, something that also comes to mind, even before I begin, is our motivation and our dream being like a fire. And we can't ask a fire to give us heat without giving it fuel first. The fuel in this case for us is our energy, our time, our investment. And so our fire within and without is going to burn brighter and hotter and will sustain us longer with its heat, with its nourishment, the more we give into it. And so if your spark of motivation, of inspiration is what gets you going, excellent. If you feel more expansive, excellent. Act on it. And this is even before we get into the podcast, act on it. Because that is what's going to give the fuel to the fire. But of course, you're not going to do it one and done and expect yourself to have a beautiful bonfire to sit and roast marshmallows with your friends by. It's going to be something you continually act upon. And so I want that just to be one of the seeds that's planted in your mind as we continue to move through this podcast, that where are you giving your time, talent, and energy to? And where do you want to stoke the fires in your life? Now, this metaphor is a perfect segue into our first topic, what actually fuels motivation. Now, people often stay motivated when their three basic needs are met, which is their autonomy, their competency, and their relatedness. Autonomy means I choose. Competency means I can. And relatedness means I am supported. Now, this is the core of the self-determinism theory, which states that our environments, whatever we choose to put ourselves in, are what help dictate and support our persistence and our intrinsic motivation, which means that motivation is not a personality trait, but it is something that is cultivated both our internal environment, and externally, what we see and what we feel and interact with outside of us. This means that you begin to build a relationship with this idea of motivation in whatever particular realm you're choosing to feed your talent, your time, your energy, your investment of money, whatever it is that you are looking to grow is going to be influenced by what you're telling yourself internally, as well as what you're feeding it externally. Something else that you can do to continue to feed your motivation when you're finding you may be when you find that you may be lacking in it is specific but clear and definite goals. This is something that may not surprise you, that if you have something achievable and tangible that you can work towards, that you are going to work towards it. It makes sense. Another example could be even having some sort of health or fitness goal. If there's a version of you that you see when you're like, man, I would love to be in even greater shape. I'd love to fit into this dress or this pair of pants that I haven't worn in a long time. Or you have some sort of event that you would love to look and feel your best. Now, you know that this version of you that you are thinking about, you're feeling into, you love it, it feels expansive, you want to run around and you want to play with your kids and you want to feel more flexible and vibrant and just energized throughout the day. These are ways that you want to feel. Now, some sort of more concrete goal could be the number you see on the scale. I want to say here that the number on scale does not equate to health and wellness, but it is something actionable. If there's a part of you that would love to release some fat, gain some lean muscle, and feel better in general, it could be a great place to start. For those of you where that doesn't resonate, something that I love to do in particular, especially with my clients who have weight loss or fitness goals, is to take a picture, to have a before and after. Or they can even measure themselves so they have something that they can achieve. And it's also something you can measure. If you think that you're doing well, but really the number on the scale or the fitting of the dress or the measurement that you're taking doesn't equate to that, you know that you need to make some adjustments to help move you in the direction of where you would love to be. However, if you say, okay, well, my goal is to fit into this dress in the next 3 months, or my goal is to just continue to run around and play with my kids for their birthday that's coming up in a few months. That's a fantastic goal to set. Now, the actionable goals that you could have is I want to start running around. I would love to start running maybe 3 times a week, or hitting the gym 3 times a week, or just getting out for an evening walk maybe 7 days a week. And so, those are things that you can do every single day that you know if you're going to hit them or not. And the more that you hit them and even checking it off, putting it in your calendar and checking it off, it targets the reward center in your brain. And so you know that every time you're checking it off, that you're stimulating that part of you that says, I've done something awesome here. Now, how do we stay inspired for the long haul? Because it's really easy for us to be able to do something for a few days, for a week, maybe a few weeks. But then when obstacles come up, and we will be getting into that, when obstacles come up that throw us off our track and maybe don't allow us to, or rather make it a little bit more difficult for us to continue to achieve those actionable goals, how do people do it for years? And this also brings me up to my sister, where she found motivation in the beginning for whatever need that she wanted to satisfy for her fitness and her health, but then it just became part of her lifestyle, something that she found passion in. And this is also where we'll get into identity and how that mixes in with who you become and what action steps you choose to take. So that's a very important part that we will get into, this idea of identity. But for the long haul, how do you continue to move in the direction of where you would love to be when maybe you're not feeling as motivated or inspired to do it, but you still want to be able to achieve it because it's something you still would really love to do? Now, the self-determinism theory also leans into this idea of how we center ourselves around identity, and that we often make more effort and we persist in the direction of where we love to head when it's who we are. If you're pursuing something and you don't think that you're able to do it, this isn't me, I'm not that person who, you're less likely to continue to do it and you're less likely to feel inspired by it because it no longer resonates with your values, what you believe about yourself, and what you can achieve. Now, if this is something that you're saying, well, I haven't done it up until now, something else that I love to take my clients through is who would you love to be? Knowing that our identity is shaped throughout our lives. And something that also happens is that our identity shifts every 3 to 5 years. So you are constantly taking in new information, releasing old information. Your body actually goes through a constant cycle of death and rebirth all the time. So it's understandable then that we will grow and change as we continue to live our life. Now, for those of you who would love to have a little bit more of an idea and to have a concrete leaping mat or trampoline to bounce off of, I'll link down below on my website a free video that you can take yourself through where you can lean into who is it that you would love to be? What would you love to have, do, be, give, receive, and experience in life? This equates to and will help you amplify your next and new identity. It doesn't have to be, and I would love to just point this out here, it doesn't have to be something insanely different. But if it's something insanely different or it feels very different from who you are today, fantastic. If it's something you're building upon, you're saying, I love the version of me, but I want to be this, fantastic. This video that you're going to be taking yourself through, if you choose to accept, is going to help you identify what it is you would love and what that feels like to you and who are you going to become in the process of. And so, in terms of motivation and inspiration, no, you may not be this person now, and that's totally okay. But who you are choosing to become in the process is someone even more amazing. And if it lights you up, if you feel expansive thinking about running around and playing with your kids, opening up that business, traveling the world with your loved ones, or being in a beautiful, deep, rich, loving relationship. That may not be what your life looks like now, but if you tell yourself and you begin to rewire your brain, it becomes something even easier for you to act upon because it's something you're telling yourself you already are. I do have other videos in terms of identity development and how you can rewire your brain to make it even easier for yourself to take those responsive, actionable steps in other videos. But for this one in particular, we're just going to do the baseline of your identity will shape your actions, and you are and you will be even more motivated to do the things when you believe it's who you are. Something else you can ask yourself is, where did this goal come from? And if no one clapped for me, would I still want to do it? Now, something else that you can do to help keep you inspired over the long haul is something I've already mentioned, which is create clear and actionable goals. Chunk your big aims into small, achievable goals. Something that really helps me and what I encourage my clients to do is to have something you would love to achieve by the end of the month. And you could also do even more of that over the course of a year. Where do you see yourself in the next year, over the next 3 years? And then backtrack. What does it look like to have your quarterly goals, your monthly goals, your weekly goals, your daily goals? If by the end of the year, if you see yourself running around with your children and playing with them and you feel amazing and expansive and energetic and loose and flexible and happy, and you see your body, maybe you've released some fat mass and you've gained some lean mass, and you see a smile on your face and there's peace within your heart. What can you do? What would be a quarterly goal for that? Would it be to have a certain amount of meditations that you do? Would it be signing up for some yoga? Would it be investing in personal growth? Would it be going for a walk a few times a week? You can start backtracking where these big goals don't seem big anymore. Because sometimes when we set these goals, they're like, it's impossible, I'll never get there. But our small habits every single day will accumulate to be what we deem our life. If maybe every day, instead of drinking a pop, you're choosing to drink a green smoothie or water, then that's something that you can tell yourself every day, this is who I am being. I am no longer the person that drinks pop. I am the person that drinks a green smoothie or water. I am no longer the person that sits on the couch. I'm the person that goes for a walk after dinner. I am no longer the person that sits there with back pain. I'm the person that gently stretches out my body so that I can move with more ease and flow. You can pair these actionable steps with I am statements. I am statements are part of your identity. It's who you believe yourself to be. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy in the end. If you tell yourself you can, you will. If you tell yourself you aren't, you won't. It could be something that you're leaning into. Something else that really helps me is if then plans. For example, if it's 7 a.m. and I'm brewing coffee, then I'll take the time to do a little bit of stretching on my yoga mat. This builds structure in your everyday life that allows you to conform with your new norm. This also then builds automaticity. You're not thinking too hard about it. Oftentimes in the beginning, it takes a lot of energy to change things and rewire things into your life because your brain, and you can check out my other video for this, your brain really wants to do things the easiest way possible. It wants to be efficient because efficiency takes less energy. Less energy means that you conserve it for your bodily needs. So, creating these actionable plans, creating these if then plans will allow you to start thinking about it and visualizing it and start to connect the neurons in your brain where it's going to be a lot easier. If you're not thinking about it, it's going to take more momentum and more energy, which your brain does not love in the moment. But if you're thinking about it ahead of time, it means that, oh, well, it's 7 a.m. I'm about to brew some coffee. There's my yoga mat. I'll do a little bit of stretching because that is what I told myself. This is what I was already imprinting and priming myself in my head. Therefore, it becomes automatic. And then the more you do it, oh, it's 7 a.m. Oh, my coffee's brewing. There's my yoga mat. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do a little bit of stretching and over and over and over again. In which case, you don't even think about it. Your brain already knows 7 a.m., coffee's brewing. I'm on my mat already. And so this is how you begin to, again, do it for the long haul. You're not waiting to be like, oh, I'm so motivated to stretch because I'm thinking about my children and thinking about how awesome it is that I'm going to be running around and playing with them. And I know that I'm not going to injure myself because I'm already loosey-goosey, fresh and ready to go. That may be your motivation in the beginning. And I also encourage that throughout the week to read a statement of what you're aiming to achieve. However, to do it on the daily is just something that just becomes who you are. I am the person that will stretch while my coffee's brewing. And it's so darn easy that I can do it all the time. That's also something I'm going to insert here. Make your goals and make your targets easy to achieve. And once you're feeling like, oh man, like this is so easy breezy, up level yourself if that feels good. If you just want to do something for right now to get to that place where I never used to be the person that used to get on my yoga mat and stretch while my coffee's brewing, now I am. What can I do next? Now, this moves us into the next part that also coincides with how we do for the long haul, but how do we keep doing things when we do not feel motivated? This is something that I was recently introduced to, and I absolutely love it. It was created by Gabriele Oettingen, and it's called WOOP. WOOP. Wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. This is a mental strategy for turning your vague wishes into actionable plans. And for those of us conscious co-creators that are looking to continue to endeavor to live the life that we would love living, we are dreamers. We are the ones that blaze trails. We are the ones that say no to circumstances, situations, and conditions to control how we continue to live our life, and yes to our intrinsic ability and innate ability to co create the life we would love to live. Now, having a positive mental attitude is important. Henry Ford says, whether you think that you can or you think that you can't, either way, you're right. Now, it's really good to have a positive mental attitude. It's something that will keep you going for the long haul. However, it's also important that we can't positively think our way into the life that we would love to live. There is science and magic where we energize our space, we energize our body saying, yes, I absolutely am. And it attracts everything to us. That's another video entirely that I've also created that you can check out. However, part of the fun in life is part of the doing, is being able to use our physical hands and our physical body to interact with the physical world. So I'm not saying here that it's always a do, 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 because there is a big part of it that is mental, that is vibrational. However, in this particular case, whoop or wish, outcome, obstacle, plan is going to help you as a spiritual being having this human experience to move in the direction of your dream in this physical reality. Now, the first part is wish. What is something that you would love to do, be, have, give, or experience? The outcome. What is the best possible way that it could unfold for you? See it, smell it, taste it, touch it, hear it. Make it so physically available for your body that when you bring it to mind, you can already experience it in your mind without it ever becoming a physical or tangible thing in your life. This is important. Obstacle. Name the thing that's going to come up to cause you to not want to do it. For some people, it's work. For some people, it's time. For some people, it's children. For some people, it's other obligations in general. For some people, it's money. And finally, plan for it. Plan for the obstacle, plan for the snag with an if then plan. If this comes up, then I will do this. As an example, if I feel tired after work, then I'll lace up my shoes and I'll go for a 10-minute walk. If I start scrolling, then I'll set a 10-minute timer to do a little bit of work on my next book. Remember that you're not positively thinking your way to your dream. You are setting yourself achievable, actionable, and specific goals that will continue to move you in that direction. It's going to make it easier to respond automatically for when they come up because things are going to come up. It's just life. And when we plan for it, we can anticipate it and just allow ourselves to move more easily through these obstacles. We're not going to crash our way through it. We're going to just go around it and say, nope, it's all right. This is where I want to see. This is where I see myself at the end. So we hold our dream in mind. This is the next best step I can take. And then we just move around that obstacle because we've already planned for it. Let's talk a little bit about self-compassion because oftentimes, and I know for myself as what I love to call a recovering perfectionist, there are times when we hear ourselves, we hear on social media, and we hear in our friend group, we hear in our society as a whole that consistency, consistency, consistency. But what does that even mean? Consistency means that you're continuing to do it repetitively over the course of the long haul. And consistency doesn't mean perfectionism. You may not go to the gym every day, and that's actually important not to go to the gym every day. We need rest. Consistency means that over the span of time, you're going to be hitting those markers. You are going to go to the gym, but if you miss a day, that's all good. If you take time to rest, that's really important. And so it doesn't mean consistency as well means you're going to be doing 100% all the time. And so compassion is something that is so important here and will actually allow you to keep going and keep motivating yourself. If you're going to be like a military personnel and saying, you have to do this, it has to be hard, go, 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 go. I don't know about you, but I personally am less likely to want to continue it because it doesn't feel inspiring. It doesn't feel motivating because I don't love that hardness. There's a moment for me when I say, okay, Nikki, like, let's get your butt out of bed and let's go for this walk. And I'll just roll over and I'll go for the walk. There are moments when I do that. And if I keep doing it all the time, I'm like, no, I don't really want to do it. But when I say to myself, yo, it's okay if you want to sit here, but you know you're going to feel better when you do it. And I say, okay. Or I'll ask myself, and I'll tell this to my clients as well, would you love this? Would you, and you hold the vision in mind, would you love to go for this walk right now, knowing how good you're going to feel? And you say, yes, I would love that. Or no, I would not love that. Actually, body's saying I need to rest. That's okay too. And this idea of self-compassion and celebration is going to be really important for the long haul and when you're not feeling motivated because you want to be your cheerleader because no one else is going to come and ring you up and say, you're doing so good, like keep going. I know right now because I'm in your head that things are going really well for you. You really don't want to do that, but you got this, keep going. Like offer yourself genuine self-compassion to say, it's all good. You're doing a really good job. No, you don't have to be perfect, but yes, I see exactly what you're doing and I am here for you. I support you. I think you're doing an awesome job. Keep going. And if you don't want to do it, that's okay. And if you miss a day or you miss your marker, just say, that's all good. We learn from our failures, and every single time I do it, I'm getting better and better and better. Something else that also feels motivating. Have you ever thought about January 1st and how at the new year there's this revved up spirit where you're like, this year is my best year yet. And you feel all this motivation, this inspiration. You're thinking about your goal at the end of the year and you're like, I'm going to be fit, healthy, ripped. I'm going to have this income. I'm going to go on this trip. I'm going to have this beautiful life and this beautiful person. And you're thinking about it, right? And it feels so enticing, so luxurious, so motivational and inspirational. And I want you just to invite yourself to put on the energy of January 1st. Allow yourself to feel this fresh start. It can be on a Monday. It could be on a Sunday. It could be an hour from now. It could be at the beginning of the month, but offer yourself this fresh start whenever you need. If you've had a bunch of misses and you're like, oh man, like this streak really isn't good for me right now, but that's okay. We've let it go. Past is in the past. I've shown up who I've shown up as. And you know what? I'm going to use this as motivation to continue on. Offer yourself that fresh start. You're like, you know what? I'll do it tomorrow. And something even better when you're feeling that motivation of, you know what, like I'm going to get a fresh start tomorrow, and you're already feeling that energy, use it as momentum and a catalyst and say, what can I actually do right now in the next 5 minutes that will move me in the direction of my dream? So you can use this fresh start and you can actually do it, okay, on the Monday, on the Sunday, at the end of the month, or at the beginning of the month, or tomorrow to spur that momentum, spur that motivation, and offer yourself something you can do to anchor it. Be like, what can I do in the next 5 minutes that will move me in the direction of my dream that I can feel so good about? And it doesn't have to be big. It can be something really small and actionable, but that'll help continue to see your vision, feel into that energy, anchor it, and complete that energetic loop with an actionable step. The final tip I have for you when you are not feeling motivation is temptation bundling. This is something that I use when, in particular, I don't want to go to the gym and I would much rather sit my butt on the couch and watch TV. Temptation bundling is doing something that you would love to do with something you feel like you should do. And oftentimes I will start walking on the treadmill and listening or watching my favorite movie. Currently, I'm watching the TV show Wednesday. For those of you who are listening to it, watching it, let me know how you love it. I'm on season 2 and she's ramping up. I'm excited and I'd love to talk about it with you guys, but that is just a side note. Now, for those of you who are looking to read a good book, maybe get Audible, go out for a walk, enjoy the sunshine, and listen to a book that you wanted to do instead. Or if you wanted to see your friends and you wanted to skip out on making a nice meal, why don't you see your friend and make a nice meal together? There are certain things that you can do, and when you do it in conjunction, it'll make it much more motivating and inspiring to do something that you really want to do, i.e., triggering the reward center in your brain with something you feel like you should do, which means that you'll be able to mix and match and be able to offer yourself a little bit more ease, grace, and flow because things don't have to be hard. And honestly, when you feel like you're actually inspired to do it, you're more likely to do it. So, temptation bundling is a great tip that you can use as well. Now, something else that also comes to mind for our next segment in this podcast is how your community amplifies your dreams. Now, this in particular was something that came right to mind as I've been thinking about my sister Alina, because she is someone who is so intrinsically motivated. No matter what, she will just do it if she really wants to do it. If she doesn't want to do it, you will know she doesn't want to do it because she just won't do it. And so, in that case, she's someone that is very consistent, very dedicated, very motivated, and it's something that just comes from her and within. However, the ways in which I've seen her blossom these past few months is because She shifted her environment and she surrounded herself with other like-minded individuals who had started to, who have created a space, place, and environment for even greater achievement. Now, for you and your life and the dreams that you would love to have, if you're looking to increase your flexibility, how would adopting a weekly yoga session help with that? When you're in that kind of environment, you're talking about it. You're with people who are inspired by it as well. You're peaking your neural connections that are starting to rewire things. And the more you think about it, the more you talk about it, the more it just becomes a part of your environment. It makes sense that it's going to start becoming more of who you are and what you choose to engage in. This idea of community also titillates our need of belonging. And when we feel like we belong to a community, when we belong to a tribe of people who not only identify with that particular area of our life that we want to grow, we continue to persist and get better because there's this underlying tone of motivation and resilience, even in the face of obstacles. Not only because you have people to lean on, but also because you have people who are offering you, hey, I've seen this before. I've encountered this obstacle before. Let me help you out. This also leans into the idea of collective efficacy, meaning together we can persist. Together we can overcome anything. Together we support each other with our combined energy, time, talent, money, freedom. We support each other because it creates this energetic bond between each other that we believe in this, we support each other in this, we will do our best to make sure that the collective's needs are met. This also means that as a collective, you share goals and you can see visible results from others that, again, is very motivating. When, in particular, I think about my sister Alina and how her growth and her gains, so to speak, and her ability to lift heavier and do more and in different ways, again, from someone who's coming just from watching her from the outside, she's been able to do more, be more, have more because the people around her have been able to see where she's already at, have been able to help fine tune things enough where she can be better. And she feels more motivated because there are others who are watching her and genuinely want to support her. And in which case, she's getting to, and I want to say this very specifically, she's getting to her goal faster. And this is also very motivating and inspirational because when you know others are supporting you, again, as collective energy, there's also that part of us that wants to fulfill these ideas of identity. And so, as a collective group, this idea of identity is enhanced because if you are sharing a goal, you're sharing values and beliefs, then you want to live up to it. It's also a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're someone in a group where you're part of the gym and you're sitting there in the corner eating bags of chips and maybe just kicking your feet up, those values do not align. And there's this almost this constricting feeling that why are you there if the other people are drinking green smoothies and lifting heavy? So there's also this idea of value alignment. And finally, in this idea of being a part of a community that serves and supports you, is this idea of psychological safety. When you feel safe to speak up, you're talking about the things that you would love to do, be, have, and achieve and experience, then others support you in that. And when you feel safe in the community to fail, failure is your best way to continue to grow. So if you're in a community that not only serves and supports your values and beliefs, but also allows you to fail enough to succeed, you're going to continue to move past those apparent obstacles in order to be the person that you would love to be. And this continuous failing and learning and forward momentum continues to build the sense of I can, I am, I will, and I am able to. All right, now, right before I leave you guys today, here's just a quick 5-minute exercise that you can do every single day, si tu veux, if you would love, that will help move you in the direction of where you would love to be and to help with your motivation and inspiration throughout your day. Now, the first one that I would love for you to do is name your wish. What would you love to have to do, be, have, give, receive this week that will help you move you in the direction of where you would love to be if it's part of your big goal? Next, I want you to feel the outcome. What does it feel like to know that you've already achieved it? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it sound like? Make it real for your body. Next, I want you just to mastermind and or write out what are some obstacles that are going to get in the way of you achieving this goal. Once you've identified your obstacle, come up with an if-then plan. If I get home late from work, then I'm going to lace up my shoes and go for a 10-minute walk. And finally, I want you to communicate to your buddy. I want you to text them and say, hey, this is my goal for the week. I'm going to text you at 7 p.m. and with a photo of me walking around my neighborhood. And if you don't have a buddy that you would love, send it to me, DM me on my Instagram or Facebook. I would love to be your buddy. So if you guys would love that, then please feel free to reach out to me. And I would love for you guys to tag me in any posts. And if you would love to be a part of the Perfectly Powerfully You community, just go hashtag WOOP, which is WOOP. Hashtag WOOP, and everyone will see it. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. It has been, such a motivational and empowering and inspirational podcast. I hope there was something that you took away from this. And I also trust and expect that whatever it is you guys are doing this week, that you are stoking the fires of desire, that you are feeling even more motivation and inspiration to take actionable steps towards your goals and dreams as conscious co-creators of the life that you would love to live. And for those of you who would love to get even more definite on your identity, remember to check out the URL that I will link down below. And for those of you who are taking actionable steps towards your dream, remember to hashtag WOOP. And until then, I trust, hope, and expect that you all are having a super duper delightful rest of your day. And I look forward to talking with you all next week.
Thank you all for joining me today because it has been my absolute pleasure to be here with you. Make sure to give this podcast a 5-star review and share it with all your loved ones because it helps in creating even more awesome content. If you're interested in learning how to effortlessly create even more health, vitality, and time and money freedom, sign up for my free monthly vision workshop live over Zoom. Until then, I hope you all have a powerful day, and I look forward to chatting with you all real soon.